Will there be any seasoning period of refinancing a property which was bought with all cash? Yes. So every single bank has its own requirements and expectations for seasoning. Now, I want to clarify and say that there are two different types of financing that you should really be on the lookout for, especially in the single family home space or the 1 to 4 unit property space. Now, one of those, like the single family home space or 1 to 4 units, Fannie Freddie, the government backed loans, those are pretty cookie cutter in their requirements. And you could call 5 different banks. And if they plan on originating the loan and then selling it to Fannie Freddie, then they're going to give you that same list of requirements. So be on the lookout for that and do your best not to waste time talking to about 10 different banks thinking that you're going shopping when really they're all selling you the same product that is backed by the government and has all of the same guidelines. Those are very cookie cutter. And then you have another section of refinancing homes. It's like 1 to 4 units. And those are ones that banks will hold inside of their own portfolio. So these are loans that they are doing out of their own capital and they are considering it their investment. So they want to hold these for 20 years, 30 years, whatever they come up with. And when you start talking to banks about those of their portfolio loans, then all of the banks have their own guidelines as far as what they're comfortable with and what they're willing to offer. One bank that we work with has no seasoning requirements. However, realistically speaking, they also take about 2 months in order to close a loan. So from start to finish, it's 2 months. So technically, you can't, even though there's no seasoning, you're going to own it for at least 2 months before you're able to do that. Most of the banks that we work with have about a 6 month seasoning period just because they want to see a healthy track record of that property performing, collecting the rents, and getting at least a 6 month history of the expenses of those properties. I would say it's not uncommon for banks to have 12-month or 18-month seasoning. One of the things that you can do is go to a number of local credit unions or smaller regional banks and talk to them about their portfolio loans from 1 to 4 unit properties. Now, my brother recently said that he started doing something about asking banks for their lending guidelines. And he said, so long as they don't think that you're a competitor, they will be happy to give you those. And that will save you from needing to extract all of this information out of one of their loan originators or salespeople. And it will allow you to just read it directly for yourself and figure out what those requirements are. And then one of the things that I would say we did early on that I would highly recommend everybody do, and that is find a couple of banks that you want to have long-term partnerships or relationships with. Figure out what their lending guidelines are, and then figure out how you can, tweak or manipulate your business model in order to cater to those lending requirements. So if you have this particular style of purchasing properties, but you're getting really frustrated because you can't find any bank willing to work with you, then it would be significantly easier. And in the long term, you're going to be more successful if you figure out what that bank wants. If they are willing to finance these types of properties for you, then you should go out and find as many of those properties that the banks are looking for that you can, rather than trying to do your significantly more difficult, but maybe more profitable way of doing business if you can't find any lenders against it. So I would say, to kind of recapture what I just said, cater your business model around the requirements from the people that actually have the funds and they're willing to lend them to you. I think that's really helpful.
Thanks for watching that clip. I thought that was a good question. And I think you can ask good questions too. Join us every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for a live stream Q&A where we answer plenty of questions just like this one. In the meantime, consider subscribing to the channel if you want more of this content. And if you want to increase your deal flow, analyze properties better, and help me feed my family, click the link below for a free 7-day trial of PropStream.